Welcome. This is number 5 in the current series of reflections. And so it's just possible that some of you are joining us for the first time. In which case, I think it will help you, and perhaps all of us, to remember what it is we're trying to do and what we're not trying to do in this series of reflections. These are not conferences. Our emphasis is not on getting new information, new insights, new theories, getting up to date in any aspect of life today, but simply to sit back and look at life as I'm living it. What is helping me to make the journey well? Or where are the great challenges and difficulties I'm finding? This is the main theme running through all these series of reflections, but each time we shall look at our life situation today from a different viewpoint, a different standpoint. And the reflection today is not something we hear and leave alone. It's something we need to carry with us throughout the month ahead. And to help us do that, we have introduced something else. We're all very familiar in today's world of rush and hurry. How many of us have to buy our nourishment, food for the journey, as we're going from the office to the football stadium, or trying to get out of the car park and onto the highway on our way home, or bringing the children back from kindergarten and getting the supper ready for the family. Haste, rush, pressure, overwork of today's world. And so listening to this talk or this sharing once in the month really won't be very much nourishment unless we pick up from it the various questions that it has raised in our minds, and during the month go back and start looking for answers to those questions for myself. As we are familiar with coffee to go and pizzas to go, we will have questions to go. And just as it's no use picking up a piece of pizza between getting out of the office and fighting your way out of the car park or the parking lot, unless you actually eat the pizza or drink the coffee, it will be no use just listening to these introduction to reflection unless you pick up the questions, the nourishment for the month ahead. And during the rush days of everyday life, you take some time to reflect on them again. So, questions to go. And the same theme running through the whole series, but each time a different perspective. And all of them out of everyday life. I'm sharing something this evening that you have all, I'm sure, experienced yourselves many times. I settled down a few minutes before the evening television world news was to be shown. And in those few moments, of course, there were advertisements. And this evening, it was a surprise to just see shots of boys and girls, different places, aged between about 9 and 14, each of them busy about something that their parents were not too happy about. They were all watching television, reading a newspaper, looking at their iPhone, turning over the different sections in their iPad, on their iPad, busy about their lives. And the simple warning that was given to parents was, be careful. Watch what it is that your children are looking at. What are they hearing? What are they reading? This is not new. Loving and careful parents have been aware of this throughout the whole course of history. That children will stand behind a door and listen to the arguments of their parents at night, or pick up something that somebody else, a visitor to the house, has dropped, a letter, a magazine, or heard their mother gossiping with the next door neighbour about the private life of one of the teachers in school, you know. Yes, if you are parents, you have to be very careful what it is that your children are hearing, reading, without really understanding the values or the errors of judgment that are being put forward. And so, we're living in a world of instant communication. Now, when you pick up an iPad or a cell phone or a newspaper, they're all so familiar to us. Do you really think of them as being weapons of mass destruction? But they are. Or they can be. The incredible power of contemporary high technology, media technology, the power which, yes, can be used to increase the life, the fullness of life of all of us in the human family on this globe, but can also be equally destructive. Destructive of the minds of young children, attitudes, values, stealing the freedom that we have to choose, to decide for ourselves. A great deal has been written about and discussed, certainly in educational circles and with parents of young children in recent years, about how addictive are the games that children play on iPads or cell phones. Great deal of concern and anxiety on the part of parents, research on the part of teachers, hasn't certainly solved the problem, but has given us much more insight. It's shown us, for example, that not every child, just as not every adult, is equally attracted by games or visual entertainment. Not everyone is equally addicted. Or not everyone is addicted to the same form of entertainment or challenge. Quite often, parents have discovered that when they do have one of their children who seems to be totally addicted to playing computer games on his own or on her own, that the reason for it is not the attraction of the game, but a compensation for feeling that they fail in school. They fail academically, they fail socially. And the computer game, the time spent alone with the iPad, gives them a sense of being in control of their world, of being in control of their successes and failures, or rather being able to hide their failures and their disappointment and their frustration from the adult world. And so if you have children at home, or if you're involved in education of young people in any way, you will be reading about this, discussing it, and finding some solutions and answers. It can perhaps hide from us the fact that adults can be much more addicted to the media, entertainment and challenges than their young children. when do you read your emails, your Facebook? When do you Twitter? How much do you blog? How much do you chat? What about the newspaper? Can I really say I have kept my full freedom to choose what is of value, what is inaccurate, what is unhelpful, what is destructive, in the enormous amount of information that the technology sweeps over me through my mind and my emotions every single day? Take a little test for yourself. How long is it since you had your cell phone in your hand? We now here in Dikweli, and I'm sure other houses that are using the time and the space to help people find the choice of being offline, of being able to switch off the cell phone, to really switch it off, put it down, and be free to switch it on again or to leave it silent. Yes, these very, very simple and everyday and very familiar pieces of technology in the homes of all of us, in the lives of all of us, have the capacity to help us grow into the fullness of life, to expand our horizons, to be more aware of other people, their challenges, their problems, their difficulties, to grow in respect and appreciation, or to destroy the values that we were helped to gain as young children from our parents or from our religious tradition. Weapons of mass destruction, potentially mass destruction, physical, psychological, are in our hands and all around us every day. How free am I? There's a question to go to take with you. Do a little testing in the month ahead of your freedom from the communication technology, from the media, from the entertainment programs, and so on. It's going to challenge us with another question. Can I admit the fact that I am really unfree? That I cannot put it down? That I cannot live in expectation that somebody must be wanting to be in contact with me? Would it really help the fullness me to live a full life? One of the things we most often miss when we have the media technology in our hands so frequently, with so little awareness, it can be destroying our capacity to listen. To listen without distractions, without distortions in the activity between my brain and mind. And if something rings a bell, brain and mind, perhaps you need to go back and have a quick look at number 4 in this series, when we looked at the interaction between brain and mind and how important it is to be able to go beyond our minds, to go beyond the mind. Why? Because absolute reality, the fundamental truth that we have in our whole human history, called by many names, God is perhaps the most familiar to most of us listening and sharing tonight. The reality lies beyond the brain-mind activity. Everything else that we see and hear and perceive and work out and imagine and plan depends on the brain-mind activity. But not this. How to go beyond mind, to all that lies beyond mind, of greater value, of full life. Now, we looked at this in a little more detail in number 4 of the series, so it would be a good idea to go back. Most of us would have found a quick answer to ourselves how to go beyond the interruptions, the distortions, the pressures of brain-mind activity. To reach silence. Practices we call meditation. Learning how to be silent in order to learn how to be silent. Did we really reflect sufficiently on that statement? It's a surprise to most of us to realize that in actual fact, we cannot experience silence on this planet. Sound waves, movement is all around us the whole time. The total, authentic stillness and silence cannot be found here. How did we begin to discover that we were looking for something on planet Earth that isn't here? Well, when the astronauts came back from space and tried to describe to us what it was they discovered there that they'd never experienced before. And one of those things was silence. Go back and have a look at some of the interesting articles or DVDs you watched or articles you read that brought that information to you for the first time. Of course, what we have been talking about is the experience of external silence. What the mystics, when they talked about going beyond mind to all that lies beyond mind, they were talking about a silence that is of a different quality, character, fundamentally opposite. It's an inner silence. The silence which is the most powerful communication without sound waves. It's the silence of the spirit, spiritual, non-physical reality working within us and also around us in space-time. We really do need to stay some time with that. Meditation practice is really trying to fine-tune our capacity to listen. Listen, first of all, to all that is going on around us, and then to listen to the silent communication of the spirit within us and around us. The mystics, the ones who had experienced this most powerfully and tried to communicate what they had experienced to us, mystics of all spiritual and cultural traditions, have tried to tell us, they've used images like the still waters of silence, only images. The innermost silence of the spirit. Whatever the image, and the image will always be inadequate, the experience cannot be doubted. Because the experience transforms us, transforms me in a way that nothing else can. the innermost silence, listening to the silence, the most powerful communication, which transforms me so that I can live the fullness of life, where I can regain my total freedom to choose. How much do I want that? Do I want to live fully? Do I want to learn to listen to the power of what I call silence, but which in reality is the only transforming communication? The power of the Spirit within and around me. Once we have begun to realize this, to recognize it, to know how important it is to us, some of this really begins to lose its importance. We can sort out from the everyday, overwhelming pressures of information around the world. We can see what is of ultimate value and what is not, and begin to just let it go. And of course, when we have found or rediscovered and treasured life in all its fullness for ourselves, we will be able to hand that gift on to our children.